Hi, I'm Wray Schelin, ProShaper Sheet Metal, Charlton, Massachusetts. I wanted to tell you tonight a little bit about this power hammer we built. It's got a good history. We call it the Mountain. At least one of my employees calls it the Mountain. It's a monster. It's a big, giant machine, and it has a lot of capability. And how it came about was about 20 years ago, in a town next to where I lived, there was a really nice scrap yard. And one day I went over there, and there was all these nice beams. All had been dismantled from a machine that was built in Germany and was never used. It was assembled over here somewhere in Massachusetts. And that company that I bought from, the scrap metal from, they also did rigging. And they had disassembled the whole machine and scrapped it. So I bought these things, I stuck them in the back of my yard. They were all painted, and I had a whole bunch of them. And I didn't know what I was going to use them for. I figured, well, at the very least I could use them for backbones for my English wheels. And then over the years I've collected some other beams. I bought this beam here. It's a 1/2 inch thick. I think it's 10 by 6 or 8 by 6, 10 by 6 I believe. And these a friend gave me. I had to buy just this piece here. Everything else I pretty much had that I've been collecting over the years. And one day I had a full-time welder working for me and was looking for a project for him. And I said, well, let's build another monster English wheel like my big yellow one. And then I thought about it. I said, well, I really could use a power hammer because it'll make the class better having a power hammer experience in my class. So I drew up a drawing of what I wanted to do. I utilized what these beams had. They already had this nice little weldment on the bottom, held them pretty right angled. So I empowered my employee Al, who was doing the welding for me. I says, okay, Al, here's the drawing, a little quick sketch that I had done. And these things are big, so Al started welding this thing in a horizontal mode, and I was terrified that he was going to screw up. And I figured, well, he's going to get this out of square, and I'm going to have the leaning power hammer. But lo and behold, he got the thing really good. And the distance, we had to slide this in, and to have that clearance just right was perfect. And slowly but sure, it's taken about 1.5 years to build this thing. We haven't worked on it all the time. Here and there, we try to keep adding stuff to it. And Al welded this up, and he did mostly with a MIG, and he's got like 20 passes here. It's big giant weldments. So the thing's pretty solid. These main beams are actually pretty thin. As you can hear, they're pretty hollow. I would have been happier with a little thicker metal here, but they work pretty good. So we didn't know what kind of results we were going to get. The frame looked really good. Then we had to come to the situation here with the power head itself, with how we're going to do that. And I really didn't want to put the traditional bowspring on the front. So I've been thinking about how to do this for years. And I knew it had to be done with coil springs. I didn't know if it would work as good as it has worked, but I came up with a drawing. I did the drawing, and we machined up all the pieces, and we've got an eccentric up there, and I didn't want a clutch. So instead of a clutch, we have a VFD, which gives it a far superior control. You don't have to have any clunky mechanisms running the clutch. You don't have to have a hydraulic mechanism running the clutch. It's just a simple 3 wires. It's a potentiometer that tells the VFD the signal, or how much you got the foot pedal controlled, and you get superb control, and I'll show you in a minute. So we've had it together now for 2 or 3 months, and we'll keep adding more features. There's a couple little more things we got to do. I've got a bunch of Zerk fittings on the slides here, so they'll stay literally forever. That side we put a whole bunch, and this side we only have a few. We got to add a few more of those. The eccentric, we got a little adjuster we want to add to that, so you can really easily change the stroke. You pop this little cover out here, and you can change the gap setting. So you got a gap setting, and you have the stroke setting there. And then we're making a whole set of dies for it. We've got 4-inch capacity here. So we've got some 4-inch dies, and then I wanted 3-inch dies, 2-inch dies, and 1.5-inch dies. And this will also, because the control is so good, it can do the similar functions that like a Pullmax will do. So we'll make the universal profile holder tools. All that has yet to happen. We just recently added these base supports for the lower arm. These are wood, and they're adjustable. One of the problems we had when we first fired it up was it was shaking a bunch, and the theory is that cast iron is a lot better than steel, but everybody tells me that steel is stronger than cast iron, and I had my doubts when it started shaking. But the problem really isn't the machine. The problem was the floor. The floor is only 3.5 inches thick in this building, and the machine would induce vibration into the floor, and then it would feed back into the machine. So with the addition of these extra feet here underneath the arms, which are adjustable so you can tighten them up, that really settled it down, and it vibrates hardly at all. And then we intend to, after we finally finish everything, because we don't know if we have to weld something onto it yet, we'll cut whole bung holes up the top, and we're going to fill this all with dry cement. That's been the consensus, and that will get rid of all of this. So, and you can easily move it around the shop with the fork truck. You can grab it right under here. It'd probably be another 500 pounds of cement or so in it, so it's not going to make that much of a difference. So I just wanted to show you how good the control is on this thing using that VFD. So, like I said, this is a potentometer. So you can see that it's just absolute amazing control. You could literally crack walnuts in this thing. So right now, this one is set up, I don't know what the exact hit per minute is. It's a little slow. It's easy to change the parameters in that VFD, and you can get the speed RPM range or the hits per minute any way you want them. So I'll just grab a piece of metal, and I'll show you. Well, put these gloves on. I found these real nice high impact gloves that have really super grip on them. Just found these the other day. It's pretty loud with the tubes not filled right now. So I'll put the muffs on. So this die has about almost a 7/16 round or 7/16 diameter contact area. You can make the contact areas a lot bigger. This die is for more high crown panels, so I've got to keep adding to my collection of dies. So here's another panel example. We're just experimenting around with the Helve hammer. We put some doming dies in it, and this was like probably like less than a minute with the doming dies on the Helve hammer, and this allows me to shrink and stretch. And this is elastic stretching, so you get action a lot faster. Now I put this in, planish this out. Alright, so that planished that elastic stretched metal out, and now I got a pretty nice smooth surface there. Here's another example. I made this the other day using those doming dies on the Maglio or the Helve hammer, and this was all rough like that panel I just did, and then a few minutes of smoothing it out and you get that really nice high crown. So it's pretty nice to be able to squash all that stuff down effortlessly. Another nice thing about the power hammer is this is 80,000 thick aluminum, and when you can do a lot of decorative stuff with it. If you have the settings with a little bit more stroke and a little more gap, you can actually splash the metal and it makes this nice hammered finish look. Right now I don't think it'll do it because I think I got it closer right now, but this is 80,000, so I can do probably 3/16 aluminum easily with this machine. That's compression stretching that dome up. You can see the aluminum will shape up pretty fast. Now on the other side we've got the shrink dies, the 4-inch square shrink dies. I spent a bunch of time tuning them in. I still need a little bit of tuning. It's marking a little bit, but it does pretty good. And I'll give you an example of what you can expect with the shrink dies. So here I did, this is about a minute. I did that earlier. I'll continue this up. I'll pull this over. I'll show you what it will do. It'll take about 5 minutes to get that to come right over, almost a 90 degree with no action on the top here. Stay pretty flat. It's a wrestle. I still have a little bit of tuning. It's not making too many marks. That all cleans up pretty good. And this is one of the tools you'll be able to use at my class, my coach building class. And right now I have a special on where you get 2 classes for the price of 1. And There's 4 remaining months in the year, September, October, November, and December. You can choose one of those dates plus a month in 2018. I'll be putting the 2018 schedule up on my website, ProShaper.com. That'll be happening probably in the next couple of weeks or so. And the classes are 4 days, 40 hours per class, so that'd be 80 hours of instruction. We have 10 English wheels. We got some amazing scratch build projects, and we can make a patch panel or a fender or a whole car. We got all that potential here. During the class, you learn a really comprehensive approach to this craft. I try to show all the different schools of thought of how to work sheet metal into shaped automotive or sculptural pieces. Super accurate. I show the bucks. We go through the welding. It covers pretty much the whole spectrum that you need to know. And the advantage of taking 2 classes is there's so much information. A lot of people on the first class, they will only retain a certain percentage of what I teach. And then they'll go home and they'll say, well, geez, I don't know how to do this. Or they weren't paying attention to that moment or whatever. And now when they come the second class, they have a really pinpoint position of what they need to know. So they can ask more questions and really solve the whole problem of how to take a flat piece of sheet metal and make it into just about anything. So another thing is I want to tell you about is we're calling this the workhorse, how this mechanism works, and we've got a new design which will go into production, and we're hopefully going to sell just the mechanism possibly by sometime late fall, early winter. So those will be available on my website, ProShaper.com. So that's it from now. Wray Schelin from Charlton, Massachusetts. Hope to see you soon in one of my coach building class. Thank you.